Thank you again, Mark, for joining me. This is always a treat. It's really fun to get to show this stuff to you. I figure we start. I wanted to show you these advertisements. Have you ever seen these before for the cartoons? Here's the
I don't
first one.
believe I've ever seen or heard of them.
I'm going to go ahead and put another one.
Oh, I see. These are print ads. Let
Yeah.
me see if I can enlarge this. Yeah, now I can see it much better. Mutt and
Let,
Jeff's dream. So what year does this date from?
no clue. This was, I actually, you know how there's a bunch of online Facebook groups, and I recently joined this silent movie group, and I just found these in there and just like pulled them out.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, not sure on the dates. Obviously, there's the Saturday, March 20th, but I'm not sure about the year, and I'm not sure too if Mutt and Jeff's Dream is the title of a cartoon. I'm curious if it is.
It certainly appears to be from the way it's displayed in the ad.
Here's this one
And
is
who was
Hull.
Gus Hill?
Where does it say? Oh,
It says Gus Hill offers Bud Fisher's latest cartoon comedy,
might be a
Mutt and Jeff's Dream.
distributor, maybe a theater owner, somebody.
His name doesn't appear in any of the animators' rosters. I did a little research and found out some of the animators and stuff that worked on these things. It's
Oh,
very
cool.
interesting.
This neck that's hilarious.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's great. Captain Bud Fisher. Yeah, because he had been in the army overseas in 1916 and then came back in 1970. He was in World War One. Oh, look at that. He looks like there's a plot where he's doing female impersonation with the little Jeff there. They're a scream. Evidently, they in the silent era, they made almost 500 Mutt and Jeff cartoons.
That's just
500 of them.
that's crazy to me. And the fact that how many are lost, like most of them just got burned up, right? All the
Well, I can't
nitrates.
give you exact figures, but a lot of them are gone or succumbed to a nitrate deterioration. As we saw last time we looked at them, there were some that were pretty, had a lot of deterioration in them.
I'm gonna look up real quick an email exchange
Okay.
because the way I look at it is, we got to look outside of um, the United States because apparently, obviously they distributed them outside, Europe and all that.
Oh yeah, worldwide, sure.
And let me see, because somebody recently told me that Mutt and Jeff were named something else in the Netherlands, and that they were popular over there as well, but because of the translation of the names, if I were to search for that, hey, do you guys have Mutt and Jeff? They don't know them by that name. I want to see if I could find that name.
Because in one country, I think they were known as, was it Dick und Doof? Something like that. They
Something
had
like that,
different
yeah.
names all over the world.
Um, but anyways, I'll look that up later. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me show you this couple other.
Yeah, this is by the time they were being distributed by Fox. Yeah, Sunshine Comedies. This is probably then early 20s. I think by that time Fox was distributing them. The Kaiser's new. One that's very intriguing to me, I'm sure no longer exists, is I've seen the one sheet from it. Mutt and Jeff meet Theda Bara. And Theda Bara was one of the top stars at Fox.
So was that kind of like an out of the inkwell where it was half live action, half cartoon? Do you think?
The way the poster looks, it looks like they did it all cartoon and they just caricatured Theda Bara.
Oh, cool.
And she appears in the cartoon with Mutt and Jeff. At least that's what the poster looks like. See, I've never seen it, and that film was probably burned up in the Great Fox Vault Fire. I think in the 20s. I think a lot of the Fox films burned. Yeah, I've never
Let's
seen any of these that are listed here.
see this next one.
Well, this is Moving Picture World, sure. Mutt and Jeff Comic cartoons. The Wishing Duck. Well, never seen any of those either, and I'm not surprised.
But yeah, I'm hopefully gonna try and find them at the in Canada. There's the Eye Museum in the Netherlands. I know the
Mm-hmm.
George Eastman House has a couple of them.
Did you see what it said on that previous ad? It said released every 2 weeks. That was
Wow.
a big change from the earlier,
Let me see.
Bud Fisher Film Corporation ones, where they had to put one out every week. So I guess by doing them every 2 weeks, they had time to do just a little bit better animation and stuff in them. Released every 2 weeks, it says there.
And would it be kind of a thing where the animation company would, you know, just make all the cartoons at once and then they'll release them, or would they have to make them and then release it that week? I hope that makes sense. You know what I mean? Do they all like just gather up the animation at one time and then there's a schedule that okay, we're gonna start releasing them each week, or
Well,
was
good
it?
question. I'm not exactly sure. My guess is that they would just work on them right along, and then probably a few days or a week after they had the prints ready, then they would distribute them then. But I don't think they actually saved up any. I don't think they they had the personnel for that. They just had to crank them along. I don't think they ever saved up any. They just released them as they were made.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
the
also
last
why
one.
there's. But wait, don't go so fast. I hadn't finished reading that one yet. That was a very interesting little ad. Wow, that's a nicely designed one too. Great typography on these. Oh, Sound Your A. See, that's a famous one. Sound Your A. Evidently, that was designed to work with orchestral accompaniment, from what I've read about it, uh, where there was actually music that went along with it, even though it was not released with sound. They had an elaborate cue sheet that they performed in theaters in New York. Frozen North Bombs. No, I
And
haven't seen any of the rest of those or heard of them, but Sound Your A is fairly famous.
did you find out how long? You know how there was different eras of Mutt and Jeff that where we saw it last time, the kind of early ones where they're a little bit stiff,
Sure.
and then obviously it goes into the to Dick Humor stuff. Do you?
Did you know that Dick Huemer actually quit high school in 1916 so he can work on Mutt and Jeff? He was an inker then.
Oh wow.
So he had a long history with Mutt and Jeff. He goes all the way back to the second year they were made, 1916.
Does it say what was his first the title of that cartoon? The first one?
No, no, he could. I guess this is based on reminiscences of his that were in that magazine I told you about, Cartoonist Profiles.
Yeah.
Uh, now he just describes this. What see, Raoul Barre was involved, and also a guy named Charlie Bowers was the first animator that Bud Fisher approached. And Charlie Bowers, have you ever seen any of his Bowers process films? Where he combines live action with stop motion.
I don't think so.
If you've never seen any of them, you owe it to yourself to see them. They've been released on DVD. They are wonderful films, really really good. Like he shows these eggs that hatch into a Model T. Like a little car comes out of the egg and it gets bigger and bigger and it's a full size Model T. That's a wonderful one. And also the Fleischers released one of his, Pop and Mom and Wild Oysters. Maybe you've heard of that title. That was released in the Talkertoons series, and that was a Bowers production. So he later became famous for his Bowers process, but in the early years he was doing drawn animation, which and I guess some of the first stuff he ever did was for Bud Fisher. But these are all the Fox era ones. These are really nice ads. Look pleasant, please. No, never seen that one either. This was in 19. Can't read the year.
1919.
Yeah, my eyes won't focus on that. 1919, very good.
Yeah, I love that image. It's just so funny.
Yeah, he's got the
Um,
bomb under his feet and everything.
so
Make a good
what
T-shirt.
exactly? Yeah. What was the number you said again that you think there was a total of Mutt and Jeff cartoons? 500.
500.
Wow.
500. This comes if you've ever read Donald Crafton's book, Before Mickey. He's I'm getting a lot of these facts from that book. He's got a whole chapter here about the Fisher studio and about how Charlie Bowers and Raoul Barre got involved with it.
Now, because you mentioned Michael Barrier,
Yes.
I reached out to him. I'm still waiting to
Oh,
hear
good.
back, but hopefully we can. I'd love to show this stuff to him and hear his thoughts and hear what he knows about
Well,
this
that'd be
stuff.
great if you could get him
Yeah.
kind of out of his funk. He's been in very poor health
Mm-hmm.
because he's had a lot of problems with his knees and a lot of operations, and he's been in a lot of pain. So he hasn't communicated with anybody too much lately.
Yeah, I really I've seen him in a couple of different the behind the scenes documentaries on this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd love to talk to him. He's very
Because
knowledgeable. It's very cool.
listen to this early staff, because I mentioned George Stallings last time I talked to you, but Ted Sears, who was a story man at Disney, Manny Davis, Art Davis's brother, Burt Gillette, Dick Friel, Dick Huemer, Ben Sharpstein, Bill Teitla, and even occasionally people like Milt Gross all worked in 1916 on the Mutt and Jeffs.
And,
All those famous animators worked on them
and all that was in the East Coast, correct?
in the New York studio. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that's so cool.
And then later on, there was a hiatus. I think I'm not exactly sure when they stopped making the first series or the Fox series. It was early 20s, 1921 or something. So there was a hiatus between 21 and 1925 when it was Burt Gillette that formed the Associated Animator Studio. I didn't know that. But Dick Huemer, Ben Harrison, and Manny Good were all involved. And all those guys were sort of, the core team that launched the Scrappy cartoons and worked for Charlie Mintz later on. So it's interesting how they all Mutt and Jeff was just the kickstart, of all these people and all these talented people.
Yeah, and as we noticed in the cartoons, they have a lot of that humor that we end up seeing much later, in all these other cartoons. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like maybe Mutt and Jeff was that, yeah, like you said, the starting point, the jumping off point for a lot of these animators. And do you know if the production, the animation studio, was Mutt and Jeff the only thing they were making? Did they end up going to do something else after that, or was it kind of like, that's it? Mutt and Jeff was their thing.
It was called the Barre Studio then, the Raoul Barre Studio, and I don't really know if they'd produced anything except Mutt and Jeff. That's a good question. I'm not really sure of the answer. They might have done some little things, like titles or a cinema ad here and there. But I think mostly they concentrated on Mutt and Jeff because that was a heavy schedule. Doing one every week, 52 cartoons a year. That was a lot of work for them. And they also were still discovering how to animate. Oh, here's the Globetrotters. Oh, great. The nice thing about having the color remakes of these is that they contain all the footage, because sometimes the black and white copies are missing a bit of footage here and there. So you can kind of, if you look at both versions, you can kind of piece together, what the original cartoon was like.
And can you explain again the colorized versions of of Mutt and Jeff? When people when people say the colorized version, there are two different versions. Can you let us know of that first one, the one that happened in the 30s? Was it the
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that all those Chromacolor films were done in the early 30s. I think all before 1935. And they just took, the old black and whites and somehow, I don't know if they saved the artwork from them. That's probably highly unlikely. What they did was they just worked with nitrate prints and blew up each individual frame and retraced it and repainted it. Pretty sure that's the way it worked. And also they retimed. Oh, look at that. They had to retime a lot of the action, for sound, because the silent films were 16 to 18 frames a second, and the sound films were 24. So they had to mess around with the timing and slow the exposures. They would take each drawing on 2 frames or 3 frames instead of one or two. Because I think in the color letter flicker, because also in the color, that's really interesting, because I don't think that shows in the color remake at all. That
Yeah,
the globe there is dimensional.
that is so cool. I've
Yeah.
never seen that before. And the
No.
and you, as you're commenting on these intertitles, the reason you're excited about these is because they're not in the color version,
No, they cut them all out.
and it feels like that color version is the one that's been mostly in the public's, at least my generation's mind, because I believe they put that on the old cassettes back in the 90s. The stuff that our parents would get us.
Yeah.
So we only know that version, especially Westward Woe. Is
Yeah,
that
the
what it's?
Western one. Yeah, they did a color remake of that.
Yeah. So I've
And
never seen
Where
this
Am I
version.
too. Yeah, I have the Nitrate print of Where Am I, the color version.
So I'm gonna play that again because that's
Did you
just.
notice that print, the scene where they enter the theater is tinted?
Let me see.
These are tinted and toned prints. That's to make it look like it's nighttime outside. You see?
And
See,
oh,
that's
right there,
tinted kind
right?
of a green.
Yeah. And you know what? I just realized something.
Hmm.
We recently got your print, the Chromacolor version of this scanned,
Right.
and the people who scanned it were Blackhawk Films, because I guess they looked it up, and Serge there, I guess released like a Charlie Bowers collection, that his
Hmm.
company released that. So when they saw, when they looked up Globetrotters, it says Charlie Bowers, right? Apparently online. As I'm seeing do you think that's a Charlie Bowers thing?
No, he was not associated with the series by this time. And
Mm-hmm.
besides, that title card said 1927.
So he's
So
long
this
gone.
was this was during the Associated Animators Burt Gillette period.
Okay, cool. Cause yeah, I was like, oh, I wonder why they were so interested in that. They said something about
Now
Charlie
Bowers was
Bowers.
out of the picture by this point.
That's so.
That's wild. I never, because that
That's
doesn't show
awesome.
up in the color remake at all.
No.
That shot with the dirigible and the globe behind it. Yeah, this scene is pretty much intact in the color remake. They did a pretty good job of colorizing this one. And by this point, they were using cells, as you can see, because the early Mutt and Jeff didn't use the cell system.
Yeah, this whole scene isn't in the color version.
Yeah. It looks a little bit better here just because this is first generation and the color print just traced off of these. That, hey, I just recognize that as a Dick Huemer scene. Yeah, yeah, he animated that
So,
stuff.
so this is a humor cartoon.
Yeah, he worked on these.
Okay,
He
cool.
animated on them and directed some of them, I think. Yeah, that little salesman guy, uh, he definitely did the extremes for that. You can see his drawing in it. Barbering in Russia. Oh yeah, yeah. This is in the color version. Yeah, this animation here looks like it doesn't look like it's on ones. It looks like it's on twos. Let me see. There's that Aesop fable. Uh, what the heck was that called? With the where they're the little Jewish guys are going into that barber shop and they're cutting all their whiskers off. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's a very funny Aesop fable. That's kind of the same kind of a gag there. I think this gag is the Swiss cheese, that they did a million times. I think where they line up great big uh, rounds of Swiss cheese and then they shoot them with guns, and that's where the holes come from. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they did that gag in here. That's nice little stuff on Jeff where he's pacing back and forth and jumping up and down. That looks, yeah, you can see a lot of Dick Huemer's posing here. I don't know whether he animated all these, but yeah, no, that's Dick's right there. Yeah, here's where they make those great big cheese wheels. Well, this is really a treat to see the original version. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this doesn't look like Dick's here. I don't know who did that scene. Imagine a guy like a big shot at Disney like Ben Sharpstein or whoever, Burt Gillette working on these. Yep,
Yeah, I
that's
think
been done in a lot of cartoons, that gag.
this is like a longer version. I don't remember it being this long in the
In
color
the color
version.
remake. They
Yeah.
probably cut a scene or two out, make it a little bit quicker and easier to produce. Solving the drug. See, this is without these titles. I don't think those titles are in the color remake. You don't understand what they're doing. They're going all over the world ludicrously trying to solve the Earth's problems.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's where the humor comes. I don't remember that in the color remake. Maybe it
No,
was there
this is awesome. Yeah.
where he rings little Jeff out. Well, that's a nice background. Wow, that's nice. Oh, back to the dirigible again. The Gutter and Yegmen. That's like butter and eggmen. Gutter and Yegmen.
There's that
Now
tint
there
again.
again, you have a tinted shot because it's nighttime.
That's so cool.
That's kind of a character Broadway. Back to the conference. That's kind of a characteristic of Mutt and Jeff, where they join hands and then they do that little jig. You see him doing that over and over again. Oh yeah. Now this is in the Crazy Cat cartoon, Broadway Malady, which Harrison and Good did later on. For Columbia, it's the same gag, where the subway cars come up and they're like sardine cans, and all these people get in there and swell it up. See, it's the same gag. They just animated it better in the early 30s, but you can see all these gags originated in the Mutt and Jeffs. But this is from the Broadway Malady.
Yeah, that's funny. Like I said, I see a lot of gags in these that I've seen, in later cartoons. So it's great.
Yeah, I think this theater is a hotel. Yeah, it's really great to see it with the intertitles. It makes it much clearer. Professor Umph. That's it. Wow, that's an added end title, of course. That's not the original end title. That was really, really good. Yeah, I love those moving picture world ads you found. Those are really, really nice. Now, what was that title? It went so fast I couldn't read it. I couldn't see a thing. It must have been on about 2 frames.
Let's see if I can catch it.
See if you can isolate it. I'm sure you can. There you go. Oh, accidents won't happen. Sure. Well, I've heard of this title, but I've never seen the cartoon. And what was the could you read that little distributor title after that? After the main title? I saw it might have been Fox. I wasn't sure who that was. Oh, that was the Pennsylvania Board of Film Censors. Okay, I get it. Your money and some kind of accident policy. Yeah, yeah, that's Pennsylvania State Board of Censors. There's a lot of prints that have that on there. Each individual state, in those days had their own board of censorship. So certain scenes you'd see in one state that you wouldn't see in another because
That's
they found
great.
it certain things offensive.
Funny, we found a really amazing 35 print of Out of the Inkwell, The Runaway, which is
Oh yeah.
basically Coco Goes to Hell. We found that at a Southern Methodist university. Um,
Wow.
I'm curious, and I'm going to start reaching out to these universities. Maybe a lot of these places have libraries filled with films, and they might have a lot of these. I'm seeing if every state had their own, board approving this stuff. Maybe, who knows? Maybe some of these colleges have Mutt and Jeffs lying around.
You may find a
Um,
couple.
yeah, that's awesome.
Never know.
Let me.
With 500 of them that were made, you'd think more of them would turn up.
That's what I'm saying. I just think people, it just no one's asking for them, so no one's, really, you know, taking care of them or having them or putting them out there. I think once you have someone just saying like, "Hey, any chance you have Mutt and Jeffs?" They'll start looking and, oh yeah, we've had these for years and no one's asked for them. So, who knows?
Sure.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, well, it could come true. You never know. Okay. Accident insurance policy for you. I see. Have you ever wondered why you see those little holes punched through uh, early silent stock like that? Like
Here,
we just saw a whole bunch of holes that went by.
let me
It's
see if I
because they
can.
were printed on short ends. You had to save money, and a lot of those little dots are code that Kodak or whoever manufactured the stock would put in, and they would put it in just the last few feet, you know, of the roll, just to show that the roll was ending. But these some of these companies were so economical that they actually printed on the short ends. So that's why you see those holes.
Yeah, saving some money.
Yeah, but that's kind of an obscure thing about silent film. But every once in a while you see that. That's what it meant. We would both be rich now. You can tell what's coming up in this one. $5,000. Yeah, this was probably a Fox release.
Yeah, I just love the way they look. Just
And
would you
these are all
call?
on cells too. There's a black gag. She was terrified of that laundry, thinking it was a ghost. You see, but it went so quick you could hardly see it. See, she's terrified, but it's there's a lot missing there, because things get cut out, or maybe who knows, maybe the censor board cut it. We don't know. Are you hurt? He's trying to get Jeff seriously killed in this so he can collect $5,000 on his life. Back to the dirigibles again.
I think you gave me a condensed version of this.
Maybe they did. Now, oh yeah, you mean maybe I did? Yes, I did. So that's
Yeah,
what this is from. See,
yeah.
because I had no idea. So maybe I'm wrong. This could be a 1925 title. I don't know. Because usually, if there's home movie excerpts, like I had a whole reel of them that you copied, they're usually from the post 1925 Mutt and Jeffs. Now it's doubly funny now that I realize what he's following Jeff around for, and the dollar signs coming out of his head.
Yeah, this is 1925.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that Dick Huemer worked on. Yeah, I've never seen this one before. That's a funny scene. That almost looks like a Dick Huemer scene, that close up of Jeff. Accidents won't happen.
They also colorized this
Oh
one.
God, he's killed. At least that he thinks he is. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
This was one of the later Fred Ladd colorized versions.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I didn't know they'd done a colorized version of this one. Oh, you mean when Fred Ladd was doing them in Korea?
Yeah, it's not chroma color, but one of the later ones, the the,
I see
the
what you
bad
mean.
ones.
Yeah, which I've seen precious little of, and I'm kind of glad. Wow. That's funny.
Yeah,
Just
this
trying
is.
to accommodate. Exodus won't happen. Try this. Wow. That's an attempt at doing slow motion animation in 1925, 1926, whenever this one was made. Oh boy. Well, that's pretty good.
That's a great one.
So that comes from the Library of Congress too.
Yeah. I
Very
mean,
good.
look at the ad. It makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Mutt's always messing with Jeff. Jeff's getting into trouble. That's why I think like these cartoons, as we're watching more of them, and especially considering their age, the gags, like you said, they're being reused later. You know, in other
Sure.
cartoons. So
Yeah.
these guys were the original like funny gag guys.
Yeah, Harmon and Ising did that too. They kept reusing gags that they'd done in even the Alice comedies and of course in the Oswalds in Bosco. They kept drudging up these old gags and reusing them over and over again. Oh, doggone, sure.
I think this one's one of my top ones.
I
Just
think I
that
have a
end
print of
scene.
this.
Yeah, you gave me lent it to me so I could scan it, but this one is easily one of the top Mutt and
And
Jeff
this is a
cartoons.
better scan because it's from 35 and a nitrate print too. And this again is one of the Associated Animators ones. It's from the post 1925. And it has the intertitles, which are really very special to see those. You can really see where some of the animation rules that were developed over the years came from. Like clear staging. You know, like when Mutt and Jeff point at something, it's way outside of the body. Like there, it's always outside of the body mass, so you can clearly see what they're doing. Yeah, that has the Dick Huemer look to it. He probably worked on the extremes for some of these scenes if he didn't do the animation himself. See, there's another example of clear staging where he wrings his hand out. Yeah, that's Dick's. This is the one that has a sausage factory in it, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, that's
That's
the
a
best scene I've never.
pretty grim gag, but
It's so hilarious.
yeah.
And I think someone probably made a dupe. The one that you have is a dupe of this because I noticed there was a cut, same cut
Ah,
on your version.
probably was.
Yeah. Because I also have cramps, but I have the nitrate scan, and it looks
Oh, very
exactly
good.
like yours. So
Was it very different from mine, or was it just about the same?
it's. I think it's the same one. I think you mentioned you had a bootlegger friend who would.
Yeah, Frank Wetzel
Yeah.
did that. He had the negative on that. Maybe he borrowed the Library of Congress's print and did that. I don't know. But he didn't release too many Mutt and Jeffs. I think that was the only one he came out with. Schultz, the sausage man. Yeah, remember the old song Johnny Rebeck? Mr. Johnny Rebeck, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs will never more be seen. They'll all be grounded to sausages in Johnny Rebeck's machine. Do you ever hear that song?
First time
I
hearing
guess
it, but makes sense.
I guess it's a forgotten song now, but that was very popular in Boy Scouts
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing that. I used to be in Boy Scouts, and we would sing that song around the campfire. But this is really Johnny Rebeck, animated the sausage machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs will never more be seen. They'll all be grounded to sausages in Johnny
Yeah.
Rebeck's machine.
Yeah, this is such a funny scene.
Yep.
And yeah, it totally looks like Dick Huemer's work on this one.
Yeah, it could be.
There's a close up of the sausage man that I think looks clearly like his work. I think it'll come
And
up
they
in a
hold
bit.
it for a long time, which is kind
Yeah.
of odd timing. I don't know why they did that. There he is, just on a held painted overlay, just looking at the dogs coming down the chute. Sam the sausage man. This is so grim. Very grim stuff. Oh God. There's also kind of implied cannibalism here, making sausages out of people. There it is.
Yep.
That extended. Just so so you understand that the broom has been ground into sausages. Ooh, God! There's this whole costume came off. Ah, that's a strange looking Jeff with a black nose.
He still
Well,
has
oh, the
his
reason
dog
he's got the
nose.
black nose is it's a holdover right from his dog costume. That's why he
Yeah.
has a black. So the law of cartoon physics says if you if you draw somebody out backwards through the sausage machine, they will reassemble. You see. Oh, that's a hilarious one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's easily top 3, top 5.
Johnny Rebeck, animated.
This one is also really great.
Now, don't I have part of this?
I th- mm,
Where they go? I know I do. I know I
you
have an excerpt from this.
you might, but I never received it. I
I
don't. I
thought it
would
was
have.
on that big reel.
No, I didn't see this one in that one.
Well, okay. Yeah. Do you know the title of this cartoon?
Hell froze over.
Ah, of course. So this also is a post 1925 cartoon.
This one,
Yeah, this would be
1926.
26. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're right. I guess I don't have an excerpt from this one. I was confusing it with something else. Don't let it go out. Or
Yeah, this is just so cool. So this is also Dick Humor. Looks like it.
yeah, it reminds me a little of his work in The Goddess of Spring. When he designed an animated what was the god of the underworld? Uh, I forget his name, but the one that he kidnaps the goddess of spring and holds her under the earth until spring each year, and the animation of that guy and the design was all Dick Huemer's. Oh God, that's funny. Oh, again, implied cannibalism. It's an interesting idea. I don't know who was on story on a lot of these. I don't know if it was Ted Sears or who was actually doing the story development for these Mutt and Jeffs. They might have all just jammed on it. Oh, look at that.
So this was completely separate from Bud Fisher's work, right? Like nothing was based off his comics or anything other than the
Not
characters.
that I know of, and of course, but by this time, Bud Fisher was completely disinterested in Mutt and Jeff. He was mainly interested in Mutt and Jeff in the first decade or two, you know, but after 1920 or so, he completely lost interest because he'd been cartooning Mutt since what 1907 or whenever that first strip was done. Yeah, that has kind of a Dick Humor feel to it. That scene where he fished Mephistopheles out of the hole there. Ah, he regrows from the tail. That's kind of concept.
These are just so clever. They're just so awesome.
Yeah, they're a
Even
lot of fun to look at. And now they got the two little devils, kind of like Hans and Fritz. Seems like there might be a fragment of a scene missing there where they make mud into a sled. God, look at the detail over the doorway there with the devil face. It's nicely done. Ah! So he thinks that Jeff's the devil. I see. It's a dream sequence. That looks like a Dick Humor drawing.
poor Jeff.
Wow, I never saw that one before. This is really a treat to be able to see these.
Now I'm just addicted. I want to get more. I need more.
You need
These
more now.
these are so cool.
You may find a few. Invisible Revenge. Now, I think this one's around. I might have a print of this. I don't know.
You
I
sent
think
me,
I have a part of it. Yeah, I
yeah,
did. It's on that Mutt and Jeff reel.
a shortened version of this. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
believe this should be the full version.
but this is pretty close to the full version. Yeah. I don't see how you can tell what's going on in the story without the intertitles, but they usually get lost sooner or later. To try it on. It's only a toy.
Oh, today I think or yesterday I uploaded Coco in Toyland, and
Oh yeah.
at the end of there's a sequence towards the end, and there's some toys, just like some wind up toys, and they're jumping around. One of them is a Mutt and Jeff.
I'll be
Um,
darned.
I posted it on the Facebook group, on the Fleischer Facebook group, and Mel Brinkrat, he saw that and he's like, "Hey, that's a Mutt and Jeff." He owned one, so he sent me a photo of it. Let me see if I can find that. I'll
Very
show it to
good.
you.
Hey, this looks like It's the Cat. I think I'm going to sue him for retroactive plagiarism.
Yeah, right.
I forget whether this is in my print or not. It looks familiar.
Yeah, this sequence is, yeah.
It might be in there, yeah. That's pretty good stuff on the cat. That cat likes the taste of his head.
And what's cool is now with this public domain stuff that's going on, I think I showed you a sample. I can just use music from that era,
Yeah, you have a whole music library you can draw from.
and that stuff it just fits so well with the Mutt and Jeffs.
Sure. See, this is a cartoonist dream, being able to do invisible characters. You don't have to draw them, you know.
Yeah, these are great.
It's free footage. I think there's a Tom and Jerry called The Invisible Mouse, where Jerry eats, what does he eat? Vanishing cream or something like that, and he becomes invisible, and then the whole cartoon is just him walking along a background, and there's nothing there. They just pan the background and things like that. They really saved a lot of money on that one.
That's smart.
That's nice. He smacked him with his cane. Well deserved revenge. Oh yeah. I guess this is why this one doesn't get reissued very much. Fools the little black guy into becoming an invisible man. Wow. And this is long before Claude Rains. He was the Invisible Man, you know.
Yeah, this is just
Very nice, doing all the.
this is funny.
You can see there's all kinds of ideas for scoring here. They provide it to you in the visuals. Kozacki. That's a Polish dance, I think.
I wonder if when this was screened in theaters, if there was like an organ player or whatever following along with this. You
I'm
know what I
sure
mean?
there was. Yeah,
Saying like they see the note on the screen and says, "Hey, you have to play this at this section or something."
sure. Or at least it gave them an idea of something, of something along the lines of that they could do. Like Sound Your A that I talked about a little while ago was that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, there he is. He's naked. Yeah. Yo. Yeah, I think my print ends pretty much the same way. I think the end title is short too,
Yeah.
just like it is on this print. It might have been duped off that print, at least in part. Boy, the trail of Mutt and Jeff is kind of a strange one. It's all over the place, and these prints are all in various, you know, lots of water. Yeah, I have a pretty good 16 of this. This is a funny plot too. Of course, based on the Florida land boom that was going on in the late 20s.
Yeah, this is also easily top 3. I mean, you could just play this now and people will still get it, you know? They're still
Yeah,
getting screwed
yeah.
over.
Well, and look at our real estate market today. It's gone absolutely crazy. Wow, that's nice stuff of the train. Yeah, this one is a little light, isn't it?
Yeah, so I just have to go in there and just, fix that up, but
You could make this darker.
yeah, this is just like the raw scan, so we just have to go in there and fix it a bit more.
You can tell by the little marks on the side of the frame that all the perforations are split on this one. See the little lines?
Yeah.
Eventually the those lines begin to stretch across the frame and then you're really in trouble. I love that effect where he
Yeah,
jumps like that,
that's awesome.
and then Jeff just uses it as a bridge. That's interesting that the titles, the intertitles are so perfectly exposed and here the animation is printed so light. The alligators in this are a terrific idea.
Is this also a humor cartoon?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. There's a great cycle in this, with the effects of the water, where their house is floating downstream and the alligators are following them. That's really a great water cycle. I don't know who animated that, but it's really a masterpiece of 20s animation. Yeah, this is a good bit too.
I'm also going to see if maybe UCLA might have any. Who knows?
Oh, they might. Yeah, you can almost see like Stan Laurel or Larry Seaman doing something like this. This probably could have been done as a live action comedy very 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 easily. That's starting to get a little bit better timed. Oh God. Ha! Yeah, this is sure a nice print. You can see a little bit more detail of the alligators and everything. Yeah, that's a real basic silent comedy kind of scene where they're each interacting with the gators on opposite sides of the same door.
And just to be, be
See,
clear
that's
on.
what I'm talking about,
Oh,
Mauricio.
oh yeah,
See
that's
what see the
awesome.
way the water's done and everything? That's really nicely done. The surface of the water is animated really well. There's foreground action there and there's background action. They're beautifully drawn. It works out to be a great looking cycle. And also the way that the house is rocking, to and fro makes it look like it's floating downstream. Yeah, I think some of this is Dick's. Keep playing with nudity in this one.
I'm
Yeah, that
telling
looks
you,
like Dick's. That
this.
was definitely Dick's where he put his towel back on.
Yeah, this stuff's just so hilarious.
Oh God. Running back up a waterfall. You can only do that in a cartoon. This kind of has some of the feel of Where Am I? Where Jeff is teetering on the edge of the skyscraper with a pot over his head.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Kind of
one.
what, like Harold Lloyd, kind of what Harold Lloyd called the high end dizzy school. You've seen some of those Harold Lloyds where he's climbing the skyscrapers,
Yeah.
hanging from clocks and all that stuff. They call it thrill comedy. I have to buy some dandy. Oh, you can really read that title nicely here. Yeah, my print ends pretty much like that one does. Oh, now you found a Coco.
This is the screenshot I was talking about.
Ah,
Do you see right there in
this
the
is where
back?
he's in Toyland. Yes,
See that toy in the back?
I sure do.
See who it
It's a
is?
Mutt and Jeff toy. Yeah, that's really nice.
And here's it is from Mel's.
And he has that same toy. Isn't that
He has it.
terrific?
That's from his collection right there.
Yeah, he's got the most wonderful collection.
It's the same one. Let's see if I
I
have.
like that little kid over on the left-hand side that says Buttercup.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the ostrich from Barney Google. See, right next to Buttercup? There's an
Oh,
ostrich character in the Barney Google strip for a long time.
oh, cool. Let's
And there's
see.
actually a little orphan Annie doll that skips rope right behind Mutt and Jeff there. Look at all this stuff. Wow. Oh, there's Barney Google and Sparkplug too, to Jeff's right. That's Barney Google wearing the helmet. And those are some of the characters from the Tunerville folk, the powerful Katrinka. See her on the extreme right-hand side there? And I forget the name of the little kid, but the powerful Katrinka has the little kid in her wheelbarrow and she's pushing him along. That's from Tunerville folks.
Yeah, this
Wow.
stuff's
This is
awesome.
absolutely great.
And
This
he's
is wonderful.
starting. He's starting to really use Facebook. So every day he's posting new images. So he's got a cell phone now. So he's going up close and taking all these great shots of his collection.
He's getting into all the modern technology.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's showing us some great stuff.
And his whole life is based on old technology. This is the golden age of spring wound toys. All the mechanisms that made these toys move were all just spring wound. Ward Kimball was very good at repairing all those kind of toys. He had a big collection of toys, very much like Mel Burncrantz. But he liked to take them apart and rebuild the motors and put new springs in them. God, he could do anything. Ward was ingenious. But this is absolutely terrific. That's a great picture.
I was trying to see if I had any more Mutt and Jeffs. I still have like maybe a handful, but I'll save those for next time.
Sure, if you want to.
Um, but yeah, let me. I'm just gonna switch this to a Mutt and Jeff image. We'll end it on this one.
That's great.